Welcome to the Brad Link Podcast, your home for expert wedding planning advice. Today, we're talking all about how to politely tell a guest that they need to leave your wedding. So that's right. Today, we're going to deal with a little bit of drama, and hopefully, this is something that you don't have to deal with. But if you're concerned, we're going to give you a few helpful tips to ask somebody to leave your wedding if they start to get out of hand. First, what you're going to want to do is give hints to people that they need to calm down or suggest that they go somewhere else on the property. Maybe they can go hang out in the lounge area where the gift table and the guest book are and relax and not drink for a little bit and leave the reception where everybody else is having a good time. Some other tips that I read on how to ask a guest to leave a party are: pretend like they're the ones ready to leave. Say something like, "Wow, you've already been here half the night. Why don't I clean up while you head home for some rest?" And it says they will be unlikely to argue with you. I 110% do not agree with that tip. Approaching somebody that's been drinking for too long with silly things like, "Oh my goodness, it's already 9 o'clock. Maybe you should head home," is something that really probably won't work and might offend the guest. And if they've been drinking, it might make the situation worse. So, what I'd like to do today is tell you how we would suggest you handle this as professional wedding planners. We've done over 100 events in a single year, and we unfortunately have had to deal with situations just like this. So, if you have a guest that's been overserved or just for one reason or another are completely unruly at your wedding and they need to be asked to leave, here's what we think you should do. First, this may be something that you personally don't want to handle. So I suggest that you continue to enjoy your day and choose somebody that you trust that will handle it gracefully. Maybe this is your maid of honor, your dad, or if you've hired a wedding planner or a security, most definitely have them involved to do it. The first thing that I would do is bring the guests to a more private location. I don't want them making a scene in the middle of the reception, so I might ask them to step outside, step into where the ceremony or cocktail hour had taken place, where there's no more guests around. Typically for me, I like to have one other person with me. So that way, if there's any details that get misconstrued, then there's two people on our side versus the one person that is being asked to leave. This is also just for a safety issue. We want to make sure that it's not one on one, so at least have another person available with you. Now, first, you need to let the guests know that the party for them is over and they are being asked to leave. I would suspect if you get to this point that you've already dropped a few hints throughout the night. So, me as a wedding planner, I would have already told the bartender to stop serving you, and you would already know as the guest that you've been overserved. And we already would have asked you to calm down a few times, maybe hold back a little bit before we bring you to a private location and tell you that the party for you is over. So, what we would do is be really honest about the situation, but not hurtful. We would explain that this is the bride and groom's special day. It's been a very expensive event to plan, and it's also a super important day, obviously. And they are causing a distraction. With them being present any longer, it might ruin their wedding day. This situation can be a little bit touchy, and it depends on really a case by case basis on how you should handle the actual wording when you're speaking to them. Having somebody that is around that knows that person well might be extremely helpful. Now, you can always just try to inform them that they've had too much to drink and politely they need to leave. And if they refuse, you might need to have security escort them out. This is another reason why I think it should be done in a private location away from the reception. If you need to have a plan in advance. So this means already grabbing their jacket and maybe their purse and their shoes. And so that way they can easily leave without having to go back into the reception. And possibly even having an Uber or a taxi or other safe ride home to make sure that they can get safely home, because you're definitely not going to want them driving in their car if they don't have a ride. There's a couple of things that you can do just to make sure that you don't get in this situation in the first place. Because I'll admit, there's no perfect way to do it, and it can be a sticky situation for anyone. So, first, if you think someone in particular is likely to be a big problem on your wedding day, talk to them about the situation. If you still feel uneasy, consider not inviting them in the first place. I know that sounds a little bit harsh, but if they're stressing you out about their behavior, they probably don't deserve an invitation. Second, hire a professional bartender. This will combat people being overserved alcohol, and that alone can stop problems from happening. It also helps when you have to cut somebody off from drinking alcohol that you have a professional that does not know that person telling them that they are legally no longer allowed to serve them alcohol and that their job or their company or their boss will no longer allow them to serve alcohol. That comes with a little bit more authority than it would come from, let's say, their best friend just telling them they've had too much. The next thing you're going to want to do is hire security. I know it seems weird to have security at such a loving event, but trust me, I've seen things happen. We've seen fistfights at weddings before between the mother of the groom and the mother of the bride, mind you. We've had broken noses at weddings before. I had somebody that was really drunk and they, for no reason, smashed a wine bottle on a brick wall. So there's definitely some things that can happen at weddings if they get out of hand. Having security there will make you feel safer. It also protects you with certain liabilities because you did your due diligence to have a safe party. So you can contact a local security company for event security, or you could even contact your local police department to see if you can hire an off-duty uniformed police officer. Now, even if you don't think there will be a problem, hiring professionals can help your day run smoother and keep your stress at a minimum since you know the pros do this kind of stuff over and over and over. For more expert wedding planning advice, follow us on thebridelinked.com.